Hello.
Hi, Fusa, how are you?
Oh, it's good here. Thank you. So,
Good.
what about you? How's life there?
Lovely. I'm at my mum's this weekend having a nice holiday with my mum, so it's very lovely.
All
But
right.
but the weather is rainy, as it always is in England.
Yes, I've heard a lot about that. So, I'd like to open the live first. Well, everyone, welcome to our join live in Instagram. And today we have a very special guest. So, to our very special guest, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Claire. I'm an English teacher from London. I teach online and I'm very passionate about this topic of native speakerism. So I'd like to say thank you to you, first of all, Fusa, for agreeing to do this live with me. It's such an important topic that we as teachers really, need to be taking a stand on and speaking up and speaking out against native speakerism.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today, Claire.
That's okay.
I do appreciate it. Well, everyone, I know I forget to introduce
Oh
myself.
yeah.
I'm Fusa. Yes, I am an English. All right, sorry. English teacher from Indonesia, and I teach online too because this pandemic. But usually, I teach offline.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Amazing.
So, Claire, one little question. Which one do you prefer, teaching online or offline?
Well, I've been teaching for many years offline, but I've only been teaching English online for about a year. Now, I love teaching online actually because it means I get
Yeah.
to meet people from all over the world and we can, discuss so many interesting topics. So I think I like online actually. What about
Yes, we
you?
don't have to go. Yeah, true. We don't have to go out of the house. And at the beginning, it felt a little bit hard because we need to adapt with, technology and this kind of things. But by the time it feel more comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's lovely working from home, isn't it? I can see my kids and
Yes.
my granddaughter more often.
Yes. By the way, how long have you been teaching English?
Well, as I was saying just now, I've only been qualified for a year. I've been teaching various things for many years, but I've been qualified for about a year. So you, Fuza, are a much more qualified English teacher than I am. You have been teaching for much longer than I am. I have, haven't you?
Well, but I'm not a native speaker.
Whoa, we'll have none of that talk here, Fuza. Yes.
Well,
Well,
um, I think that's the topic we'd like to talk today. It's about native speakerism. So, Claire, would you like to explain to our student what native speakerism is?
yes, well, I'm no expert, to be honest with you. I have been campaigning against racism in many institutions for many years, but because I've only been
Wow.
an English teacher for 1 year, qualified, I can't say I'm an expert. So anybody watching this who is an expert, it would be really lovely for you to comment below and give us some of your thoughts and feedback on what your opinions on this is, because there are differences of opinions within the English teaching community, but in a nutshell, a very short version of what native speakerism is this idea, or perhaps even ideology, that in order to learn English, you need to learn English with a teacher who speaks English as a first language. And there's also the other side of it that, students want to sound like a native. But, this is kind of such a broad ambition, if you like, because even in Britain alone, we have over 70, I don't know, 60 or 70 accents. So when somebody says they want to speak like a native, what are they saying? Who are they saying they want to sound like? Me from London, the Queen, who only 2% of people sound like, somebody from Australia, somebody from America. So the concept of native speakerism is a bit of a, yeah, it's not really a thing. There isn't really such a thing as being a native speaker. Another thing really is that English teachers have, people who have English as a first language have never learned English as a second or third or fourth language. We've been brought up with it from such a young age. And when we speak in English, we often speak using completely incorrect grammar, not pronouncing things correctly, making all sorts of changes to our language. Whereas somebody like yourself who has learned English as a second or third language has really gone through all of the kind of the grammar rules and so on. So perhaps you're more, experienced at teaching the grammar rules than many English teachers who have English as their first language. Well, you were saying to me about the dialects and accents in Indonesia. How many have you got in Indonesia?
Oh, I don't know. Perhaps it's about like tens, no, more than tens. I think like hundreds even, because this is a archipelago country, so it has so many islands spread around the country, spread across the country, I mean.
Yeah, exactly. Now the thing about kind of this native speakerism and the idea that you need to be English as a first language to teach it, it's kind of a code as well. There's racism is kind of entwined in this idea. You'll see many English schools saying that all of our teachers are native speakers. What they really mean is our teachers, or not necessarily these schools, let me be kind, but what people often think that means is that they're basically white, that they're European perhaps. They might not even have English as a first language, but if they're white, they possibly considered that they can teach English better than somebody that's perhaps from Africa or the Indian subcontinent or other parts of Asia. So we have to really be aware of this and be kind of strict about it, that we're not going to accept racism within our English teaching community, because we've seen this recently, haven't we, Fuza? You've experienced this recently.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's true. So we've been talking about native speakerism, native speaker. So who is actually defined as a native speaker?
It's somebody that's kind of what I was just saying, is it somebody that has English as a first language, but it's often broader than that. It's often people who have English as a second or third language but are white, really. And people that aren't white might not get the same opportunities within school systems and so on. But I think we have to be a little bit what's the word that I'm looking for? Well, a bit cautious about this. Schools often say all our teachers are native speakers, and some teachers even say, learn with me, I'm a native speaker. But being a native speaker does not make you more qualified than a non-native speaker. What we really need to be campaigning for is better, more qualified and more experienced teachers, regardless of whether English is their first language or not, because otherwise it brings the standards down. When we've got lots of people teaching English that aren't very good, that aren't very experienced, that aren't very qualified, it brings the whole standards down. Can I hear the azan going there? Is that the azan in the background?
Oh yeah, the other time.
Prayer time.
Yes.
Ooh, we better finish before prayer time.
No problem. Isha has a very long time, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what's happened really is that we live in a world of competition. We live in a world of competitive behaviour. people are setting up schools or teaching on YouTube with possibly not very much experience. And in order to get more followers for their YouTube channel, in order to get more people to sign up to their schools, they'll often say anything, including teaching in a not a very good way and teaching incorrect things, perhaps. They'll say anything in order to get YouTube likes. Now, I wanted to bring up the issue of what you faced recently, if that's okay. Fuza,
Yes, that's.
Do you want to say it, or do you want me to say it?
Yes, let me say it.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, maybe some of you have watched that I was brought in some content on YouTube by one of native speaker. So here I'd like to ask Claire's opinion about that video. So.
Yes, some people are saying, can we finish? Can we go on silent until the azan has finished? Maybe you could pop your I don't know if it works like that. Pop it on silent while I'm speaking. I don't know. Yeah.
Well.
Okay, so what happened, dear viewers, is our good friend here, Fuza, who is an excellent teacher, received some very negative criticism from a teacher who has a YouTube channel. She's North American, and she attacked Fuza and said that Fuza wasn't teaching properly or whatever she did, and really did a nasty kind of semi-jokey but nasty deconstruction of what you were teaching. And I think as teachers we should be working together, we should be collaborating together, not competing with each other and not bringing other people down in order to sell to make profits on our YouTube channels. So I'm really sorry that you've had to face that, Fuza, and hopefully all the teachers and the viewers here today can show you some solidarity and pledge for the future that we're never going to let this pass, that if we ever hear any of this racism and negative teaching, that we will campaign against it, and we will make sure that person knows that is not a good thing. It is not acceptable.
Oh, right. Well, that's quite inspirative. Yes, anyone, I'm so sorry for the other sound. I just didn't know how to mute it, because when I press this one, it's go connecting.
Has it finished now? Has the other one's finished?
Yes, I think so. It is finished now.
Okay.
Well, your answer is, your opinion is quite enlightening and inspirative, because, maybe the content was fine. The way she corrects was fair, but the comments below, there's like some comment that, bringing some opinion. They're saying like, oh, it's better for me to learn English only with the native speaker, or some people saying, that's what happened when you learn English not from the native speaker. So that's why I really want to ask native speakers teacher opinion about this.
Yes, well, I've got here Lisa, who's in Spain. Hi, Lisa, has said a really good comment here. When people attack others, it often comes from their own insecurities.
Wow,
yes.
That's a very good saying.
Yes, thank you, Lisa. Yes, don't let other people's insecurities affect your ability to teach and your confidence. Because I know that you're a very good teacher, and like I said before, there are plenty of English people, plenty of people who speak English as a first language, who make lots of grammar mistakes when they speak, lots of grammar mistakes when they write. They speak in a very different way, not always using absolutely correct English. So oh look, there's lots of lovely comments from people here that say that on your side. Khoiriabu, thanks, Khoiriabu.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, we're on your side. We'll support each other. That's what we should be, and we should try. Try not to be competitive with each other, shouldn't we?
Yes. We should support each other, because I think native speaker teachers and non-native speaker teacher have their own market. So I think they don't have to compete each other.
Yeah, we don't need to compete against each other. Exactly. You know, we should be supporting each other. That's what education is about. And education is so much better when we work collaboratively, when we work collectively, not when we work in competition. Believe me, you know, students in my group classes, they work together, you know, not against each other.
Wow.
So that's the sort of approach that I take with my teaching anyway.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. Well, so let me make this clearer. So is it okay to learn English from non-native speaker English teacher?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
So the answer is quite firm, yeah? Yes.
Absolutely. You're more qualified than I am as a teacher. So I'm pretty sure, you know, that if there are many more teachers that are as good as you, Fuza, then people are going to learn English, you know. And well, I guess one of the questions to ask, actually, this is what I was thinking, is why do people need to learn English in the first place? Why do people want to learn English in the first place? What do you think? Why do you think people need to learn English or want to?
Oh, because that is the international language, the most spoken language over 54 countries around the globe. I think. And, you know, people need it maybe to get a job, some of them to improve their TOEFL or IELTS score, to study abroad, some of them because they need to work abroad, or some business purposes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, many people want to learn languages in general because they want to learn them. They want to be able to communicate with people when they go on holiday.
True.
You know, doesn't necessarily even have to be for an examination or for work purposes. People like to learn languages. We like to learn things from each other, don't we? So if that's the starting point, we're learning languages because we want to do it for ourselves, then we can think more about the reasons why if we think about the reasons why we're learning the language, then we can focus on what's really important for us. You know, if you're not, for example, needing to write an academic essay, or write, you know, newspaper articles or reports for work or whatever, then we can have a different focus than having to be, you know, 100% with our grammar or our pronunciation. We need to be able to communicate what we want to say in order to get what we want. And that's what we need. And that's the first point. If you can communicate, and this is to your viewers as well here, lots of them, over 100 viewers. Well, hi everybody.
Wow.
I've never spoken to so many people before on a live.
Yes, they're so excited to know about you and to see you.
You know, it's really nice. Thanks everybody. Lots of lovely comments. But if you can communicate what you need, then job done. Then you've achieved what you aimed to do, what your goals are. Okay, so I think people often worry too much about being perfect. And that's again because we live in a world of competition. There are so many kind of competitive things out there these days. On the TV in Britain, we have competitive parenting programs, competitive sewing competitions. Wow. Everybody has to compete with each other, and it makes us feel unconfident and negative about ourselves, that we have to be as good as some other people that we look to. But believe me, you do not have to have a perfect you do not have to have perfect grammar or pronunciation in order to be able to communicate what you need and get what you need. So that's the first point I would say.
All right. Yeah, just like what we're doing right now, I'm sure that maybe my pronunciation is not perfect. If there is person who really want to analyze it very detailed, they might find lots of mistakes. But now we're communicating very well.
Exactly.
So here we are.
Exactly, but also I've made lots of mistakes in this video today, in this conversation with you.
No, I don't think so.
I've made lots of mistakes. I've had to keep correcting myself. I've had to keep thinking about what I'm saying. it's perfectly normal. And we often feel more like that when we feel under pressure to perform, under pressure to be as good as other people. And that's why, you know, we do exercises as teachers to help people gain confidence in speaking and in their communication in English. If you can, when you feel more confident, you can say more using fewer words. So you don't even really need lots and lots of words. You don't need lots of vocabulary. You don't need really high grammar. You need, you know, you need a bit more confidence to use the words that you already know. Lots of lovely comments here, Fuza, that are saying you speak great. And that's from some of the teachers that I can see on here. You have wonderful pronunciation.
Oh. Well, so maybe I'm a bit out of the conversation before. It's about the accent. So, you know, there are so many accents of English. Is there any standardized accent?
Okay, good question. Well, this is one that I'm not an expert on per se, but all I can say is that I have people coming to me that say, I want to speak RP, which is received pronunciation. I call it the Queen's English. This is what the Queen of England speak. Some people also call it BBC English, because back in the 1950s, 1960s, kind of, I was going to go bigger political here about colonialism and the British Empire imposing standard English on people in Africa, in Asia and whatever, which I'm obviously also against. But I say to my students, why do you want to speak RP? 98% of people do not speak RP. 98% of people speak with one of all of those different accents that I was talking about earlier. So personally, I don't speak RP. I mean, I have a southern accent, and depending on who I speak to, who I'm talking to, my accent kind of changes. Okay. And I think humans do this as a kind of a natural thing. So when I'm talking to my son, I'll speak in one voice, but when I'm speaking to the bank manager or my lecturer at university, I might put on a little bit more of RP. I don't know why. I probably shouldn't, but I probably do it because I feel intimidated or unconfident in the situation, and I feel like I have to speak a little bit like them. But is there a standard British accent?
All right. Yeah.
It's like saying, is there a standard Indonesian accent? That's the other, you know, another way of looking at it.
Well, Indonesian accent has so many accents, and if we only say Indonesian accent is only owned by Jakarta people, I think it's not fair, because, you know, it's spoken by people in Indonesia over the country. So I think, yeah, just like English, if people have to speak very perfect, like the standardized English, so I think it will be so difficult.
Yeah. I mean, I think what's more important is to learn about all of the different accents. Lisa, my teacher friend who's on here with us as well, who's been saying some lovely comments, she's from the north of England. She's from Yorkshire, and she'll say words like, she'll pronounce the word laugh. I say laugh. I had a good laugh. She might say, I had a good laugh. Laugh.
Oh,
compared to
it
laugh.
Sounds like American accent, yeah?
It is a bit more like some of the American accents, absolutely, yes. And she's really good and knowledgeable about the history of different accents, actually. Yeah, and so she does speak very differently to me. So yeah, is there a standardized accent? Should there be a standardized accent? Isn't it more important to be able to learn about all of the different accents? And, you know, I love accents. I think they're amazing. They're beautiful. You know, they're like a rainbow of sound, aren't they? If we all sounded the same, the world would be a bit boring, wouldn't it? So I love accents.
And we also love your accent. You know, it sounds so unique, and I don't know, it feels so comfortable when it goes to our ear. Yeah.
My mum doesn't say that, because my mum says I sound too much like a Londoner and I should not speak like a Londoner.
Where's your mum from?
She's from Winchester, which is the Roman capital of England. So it was the very first capital of England, I don't know, in the 15th century or something. And she doesn't sound, their accent isn't a million miles away from the London accent. It's not as different as, say, the Newcastle accent, the Scottish accent, the Irish accent, but it is different. So in London, we would say the colour purple, like this, purple. My mum would roll her R a bit and say purple. Purple.
Okay, purple.
Purple. I said purple. Yes.
Well, this is a little story. You know, when I was a beginner, I used to get bullied because I spoke with a Japanese accent. And people say, oh, your English is so mado, yeah, that's very Japanese. And when I get into the intermediate level, I succeeded to take off my Japanese accent. And, you know, people still believe me because they said my English is too Indonesian. And after that, now I try to learn to speak English with one of the English accent, and I think I'm really interested in a British accent. And here I am. People still believe me in that content. Yes. So my question is, you know, what do you think about students or teachers who are interested in and want to learn you know, British accent? Is that okay?
Well, I mean, if people want to learn a British accent, then I'm not going to tell them that they can't do that. Of course, you know, it's, you know, if you're going to learn to speak another language, my friend Lisa might be more of an expert on this than me, so maybe she can comment in the comments. But is it better when you're trying to learn a language to focus on one way of pronouncing things, or is it more important to learn how lots of different people pronounce things? So when I do my sort of intensive pronunciation classes and courses, I obviously teach with my accent, with the way that I speak, and I will explain the difference between the way that I say the word butter or butter, if I'm from London, drop in the T, and the way that Americans might say it, butter. They might say butter. So I think we can explore all of these different things. And if people want to speak with a British accent, you know, perhaps they're an actor. Perhaps they need to learn how to use the British accent in order to act in a play or a film or whatever. You know, I'm not an expert on that, and I don't have a strong opinion about it. But I do teach in my accent, whatever that is.
All right.
Apparently I'm speaking a bit fast. I'm really sorry about that. I'm a bit nervous, everybody, okay? And when you're nervous, it makes you speak a bit faster. I should know that, because that's the tip I give to my students. Try to reduce your nerves so you don't speak so fast. Lisa has now replied to the question. Students should consider their individual situational context. Is it really necessary to have a British accent when you speak English? Thank you, Lisa. Yeah. Brother Lee, what can you see what Brother Lee is saying? It's not quite come up on my screen.
Okay. Well, I don't know why, you know, this comments doesn't move.
Are they not showing?
No, it's not moving.
What about if you use your finger? Yes. Can you scroll them up?
Yes, I think I need to scroll it down or up.
Yeah. Brother Lee, can you see his comment?
Brother Lee. Okay, no, I don't think I see his comment.
Brother Lee says, for me, the American accent is the simplest and easiest one. Okay.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah, that's great. That's great too. I have lots of friends who teach American accent. Hadar Shemesh, she teaches the American accent, and she's amazing. If you haven't met Hadar Shemesh, I advise you go and have a look at her. Nick Music is saying, but if I try doing the accent in UK, would it get me in trouble? Well, that's a really interesting point, because what I sometimes say to my students is, in order to help you with the pronunciation, sometimes it's quite a good idea to mimic or to imitate how I say something. So kind of putting on your best British accent, if you like, or when you're copying me, just for the main reason is so that you understand how the sounds sound, how they are formed in your mouth. And so when you're listening to something, you recognize it, even if that's not how you always speak. By the way, understanding and learning pronunciation is also very good for your reading skills, for your writing skills, because as you know, in English, our spelling sometimes is completely different to how we pronounce something. So learning pronunciation is much more important than people sometimes think. Sometimes it's just like a little 5 minutes in a class, let's do a bit of pronunciation. I do full-on pronunciation courses, so I think it's a very important thing to help all of your skills.
Yes,
So no,
I think so.
Go on. No, sorry.
Oh, okay. Well, I think so. Pronunciation is quite important because, you know, when we mispronounce a word, even though just a little, the meaning will be different and people will get misunderstood and, you know, miscommunication will happen. And that leads to a conflict, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We don't want to be saying bird when you mean beard. If a man has a beard on their face, you might not want to say I've got a bird on my face, you know. So
because usually E and A is pronounced E, like sea, you know, ocean, sea, and seed here. So the beard here, that should be E.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's been such an important conversation. This has been to talk about what native speakerism is, to campaign against it, and hopefully everybody here is now going to promise us that they're going to, in the future, they're going to speak out against racism in the English language community, whether you're a teacher, whether you're a student, whenever you see racism, whenever you see this idea of native speakerism, you must say something and challenge people, okay? Because that's how we're going to change it. We want to change the world, don't we? There's a really good Instagram account, actually, TEFL Equity Advocates. TEFL Advocates. If somebody can pop that in the comments, that would be great. Maybe Lisa can. Go to their Instagram page, sign up to their courses. What is native speakerism? How can I get involved? How can I make change? And they've got lots of steps how you can make change to campaign against native speakerism.
Wow, thank you very much, Claire.
That's okay.
You know, for your thoughts today. That's really enlightening. You know,
no problem. And if anybody's got any, if anybody's got any questions, make sure you follow Fuza or myself, and you can send me a message, or you can download some of my pronunciation files in my bio. Get in contact, and it'd be lovely if we can just create a big, lively community of people who are challenging this.
True. Well, my followers have been saying like they want to speak with the British accent. So you can follow Claire Instagram. That's a right Instagram you can go, because the more listening you get, the more listening you do, the better accent you'll get.
Yes, well, thank you, Fuza, and follow Fuza as well. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being brave enough, sister, to come and talk about that awful experience that you had. And hopefully, let's do this again sometime.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to all the wonderful comments. If you're watching this on replay, we should have said this earlier. If you're watching this on replay, you can continue the discussion underneath in the comments. Tell us what your thoughts are on native speakerism and how you're going to campaign against it as well.
All right. Yes, that's right. don't stop here. You can continue the discussion in the comment below.
Yes, exactly.
You know. Okay. All right.
Wow.
Okay, so you know, it's been a great time and opportunity to have you here today, Claire, and really we really appreciate your willing and bravery to talk about this. You know, I'm sure that not many people want to talk about this.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you very much for your time, Claire. So have a great day.
Thank you, Fiza. Thank you to everyone for watching. Sorry we haven't answered
thank you,
all
everyone.
the questions. Sorry. See you again soon.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.